Hello, my name is Debbie, Owlandgatorstitcher. Welcome to Flosstube number 50. Today is Wednesday, March 15th, 2023. This is a video mainly about cross stitch, sometimes about what I'm reading and watching and life thrown in. So I can't believe that I am actually on Flosstube number 50. I think like a lot of people who make their first videos, not really sure where it's going to go, if it's something that you want to continue, but you wanted to jump out there. And I am here now a little more than 2 years later making my 50th video. And it's all because of you. So whether this is the first time that you're watching or you have watched all my videos, I really appreciate that you take the time to stop and to watch and to share this hobby that we have. And I really appreciate all the comments that you give me. It just is the inspiration that, that helps me continue with the videos, and just that I know there are other people out there who share this love of cross stitch. So I have a small giveaway that I'd like to do. Standard YouTube giveaway rules apply. You must be 18 or older so that I can have your mailing address. These are physical charts. I will mail them anywhere in the world as long as you can get mail from the United States. And do not use the word contest, giveaway, prize, anything that might get the spammers out. I'm sure all of you are aware that this has been a problem recently. And you have to watch the next video, which will be in a few weeks, to determine if you won or to hear if you've won. I will use the random comment picker to determine the winner, and you have to use one of the code words. So I have two charts. The first one is Hip Hop Chockful from Hands On Design. So this came out a couple years ago, so you're probably familiar with its design. Really cute bunnies coming out of, I don't know exactly what that is, but little bunnies and carrots and all of that. So a really nice spring chart. So if you are interested in this one, please use the word bunny, Bunny. And the next one I have is called Earth Flowers from October House. So here's this one. And if you are interested in this, use the word flower, Flower. And you can enter for both of them. You can be creative and put them in a sentence. You can just throw them two words in there. But please use the code word, and I will use the random comment picker. These charts are physical charts, and if somehow they get lost in the mail, I will not give a monetary replacement for them. And you can also enter for both, but even if you are selected, you will only be able to win one of them because I want to share the love. So good luck to everyone. So with that, I think I will go ahead and start showing you what I've been working on for the past 2 weeks. So I think in my last video, I mentioned that there are sort of two things that are guiding my stitching this month. So I am doing Stitchy March Madness, and I created the brackets with 16 different projects, mixture of some of my focus pieces and some things that I haven't touched in a while. And then also balanced with, I wanted to do in the Whip Warriors group. I wanted to do, I always get confused if it's lion versus lamb or lamb versus lion. But I wanted to do that where we are trying to get 1,000 stitches into as many full coverages as possible. You can just randomly pick whatever full coverages you're working on, or you can be a little extra, and I chose to be a little extra and do it from the one that has the fewest number of stitches up, and then go to the second fewest number of stitches and so on. So I'm trying to do that, and they're generous. So like if you don't know if you have 5,000 stitches versus 5,050 stitches, don't worry about that. But obviously don't take one where you have like 50,000 stitches and one that you have 5,000 and say the one that has 50,000 stitches has fewer stitches. That kind of obviousness. I don't even know what the word is. They don't want that. So anyhow, so I balanced that. I then realized yesterday that one of the pieces that is a focus piece from this year, I somehow forgot to include it. So it got neglected. And I probably, while I have up until today stitched on every piece for at least 100 stitches, it may not continue. I may have some days where the pieces that have moved on to the next rounds just won't get stitched on, because I do want to get some of those focus pieces in and get some work on them. So with that, I'm going to go ahead. I have 14 projects because I did those 14 projects that were in my bracket were the 14 Only 14 projects that I worked on. So today is the 15th, but I haven't stitched today because it's the morning. All right, so the first page that I stitched on, actually, I also try and stitch on pieces when they have their birthday. So this one had a birthday on March 1st. So I deliberately put it there, but it was one that I showed you last month, and I worked a lot on it last month. So I was sort of just going to give it a couple hundred more stitches, and then I was going to be done with it. And I knew that going in. So this is Artisy Evening Romance. So lovely little winter scene. Artwork by Mark Keithley. So here is the whole piece. If I can get this up right. Here is the whole piece. So this is the top row. So I'm working, this is a full page here, and then like maybe 20 columns. And when I say column, like a 1-stitch column, so 20 stitches across for the last page. So I'm working pages 5 and 6 together. So I had done, basically all I did was I started pulling colors from the top and putting them in a little bit more. So clearly I had some of this yellow and orange colors that I was working on. So this is the sort of sunlight, the fading sunlight coming through the trees here. And then this actually, part of the reason why this is empty here is that this is the beginning of another tree. And so it's much darker than the colors that would come up here that I was sort of pulling from and going down. Not really following the typewriter method strictly, but I am trying to pull colors from the top and work my way down. So that is Evening Romance. And I'm really loving the way this is coming out. I know I've said this before, but I just love the way that this sort of lamppost is coming out in particular. I think Tarina Clark at Artisy has done a beautiful job of charting this. It is very confetti heavy. And it is a paper pattern, so it does take me quite a while when I work on it. So I have to work it in small increments at a time. But that will go away for a while, especially since, I am in Florida, so I would say it never gets cold, except this morning we woke up and it was in the 30s, which does not make this flirty and happy, but never mind. All right, so that was March 1st. So March 2nd, I pulled out one of my focus pieces because I knew I work on this almost every evening, so I knew I needed to give some love to this one. So let's put it this way. I knew I was going to be giving love to this one, whether or not it was our March Madness. So it just came on there. So this is Cats in the Toy Box, artwork by Leslie Ann Ivory, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. And I have continued to work so you can kind of see the whole thing here, but it's in the key snap. So basically this time I have now finished the whole border over here. So all the colors that I had that were in the frame here, I finished this entirely. It's still a little bit on this little thin thing here, the inner border. Still needs to be done. But as the colors were here, I've been pulling them here. And again, it's sort of, this is the cattail that comes here, which is why the colors haven't pulled all the way across. And then you're starting to see more definition here that these are the carpet, and you can see sort of the red of the carpet, and then the little, what's the word I'm thinking of? Designs on the carpet. You can see that. So, and obviously this is the back of the kitty, and so sort of more, and this is the edge of the kitty here. So you can sort of see a little bit more definition to the cat. So really enjoying working on this. So that is Cats in the Toy Box. Okay, and then the next piece I worked on March 3rd is two swans in the pond. Very aptly named because there are two swans in the pond. So this artwork is by Alexandra Gavrilova and charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. And this was a new start towards the end of 2022, so I really only had probably 300 or 400 stitches in this. So I did, combine March Madness with this. So I did manage to get in my 1,000 stitches on this. So that's, as I figured, I did about 250 more. That's how much I increased this. So this is sort of a hydrangea bush here. So a little bit on that, but mostly sort of the shadow behind the hydrangea bush, and then a little bit coming over here. So not a huge amount to show, not a huge amount of work. overall in the piece, but nonetheless, progress is progress. And that is the point of this, is for us to pull out some of our full coverages that either have been languishing or just haven't, either newer ones just to get a little bit of progress on them, and to see if you can, if their one's been sitting for a while, can you fall in love with them again? So that one, I love the colors in it. Obviously, it's still very new and not much has popped out yet. So then the next piece I pulled out, one I have not worked on for, I want to say, 9 months, something like that. This is, get this a little bit closer. This is Swan Lake from Al Forest Embroidery. This is the kit, although this I had to print off the cover. The picture on the front got mangled, but the actual picture that came with the kit. Oops, and now everything is getting magneted together over here. All right, so here is what this looks like. So basically, all I did here was I had these 3 flowers done and these leaves mostly done, but I came and I filled in here and just filled in over here. So not a huge amount, but because this is a kit, I'm using their flosses, which, the whites or the off-white is not very variegated, but these blues and the greens and the purples are wildly variegated, and I love it. I just love the way that it's coming out. And so again, this is one of those pieces I love, but just, it doesn't get stitched on nearly as much as I would like it to. Part of it is that because it is linen and it's a very uneven linen, I have to use a magnifier. So I have to sort of be in the right headspace and not have any sort of headache or anything in order to pull that one out. Another one that I had not worked on for a long time this is, I think it's pronounced Titania, although it could be Titania. I don't know. Anyhow, this is from Mirabilia. I'm trying to get this without the glare. I know this was, I won this as a kit from someone, and it's, how to put it, the kit was not the highest quality. That's the only thing I can say. So it sort of went away for a while. I was getting very frustrated. And then actually last month I said, okay, you haven't worked on this in a while. Whatever is frustrating you, deal with it and then move on. So part of it was, the fabric was really heavily fraying, and I don't have a serger. I don't have that. So I did end up, cutting the edges. I blanked on what the scissors are called, but the scissors that have the jagged edge, so that helps prevent fraying. I also took apart the kit because the floss cards that they provided were basically regular 8.5 by 11. They weren't cardstock. They weren't anything. They were just like a regular cheap piece of paper with little holes in it. And it was, there was no way to put the floss back on, and you could easily break it. And it was just, when I have a floss card, I want to be able to stick my needle under and pull up a floss. That's, whether it's a floss card or a floss drop or whatever, but you want that stiffness and you want some give so that when you're pulling out each individual strand, it's easy to do. And there was no way I could do it. And so it meant you had to take off the 6 strands, and then it was very hard to get it back on, whatever. It just wasn't working. And I put this kit away for a while. And then I took care of all of that in February, where I just basically dekitted it except for the fancy floss. Or the cry neck or whatever. I kept that with it, but everything else just went into my master stash of DMC. And I have to say, I'm not even sure that it is DMC. It does have DMC numbers, and the colors are a perfect match to DMC, but the floss feels thinner. Like each of the individual strands feels a little bit, it's just, when you're a stitcher, you're used to what floss feels like and the thickness. And it just like each individual strands feels a little bit thinner. Maybe it's because it's older. The die lots are a perfect match. And I don't think when I'm doing the crosses, anyone will notice that it's in my master set. But it was just sort of an interesting thing that I noticed. And I know because they're cut lengths and not on skeins, I immediately know what came from the kit versus what was my master. Anyhow, that was the thing. And, it makes me not want to buy anymore. This was a giveaway. I won this in a giveaway. Makes me not want to buy a Mirabilia kit like that again. And this kit was probably 20 years old. I mean, it was really old. And I love the chart, just don't love the kit. So anyhow, this is where I am. So basically what I did this time was this pink, I think it's 818. I had done a little bit of that before, but basically almost all this pink here, and then coming around and then coming down here. I did that. That was probably about 400 stitches. So I did get quite a bit done on this. But this, I can't remember which one this went up against. This one, though, did have fewer than the one it went up against. So it will not be advancing in March Madness, but I am happy that I got past what was bothering me about this project, which had nothing to do with the pattern or, you know, anything like that, and just the kit itself. So I know we all love, you know, we buy kits, and then sometimes it's the kit is actually the detraction. And you know, when I get things like that, I'd sometimes just rather have kitted it up myself. But again, I didn't pay for it, so zip about the complaining with that. All right, so the next piece I worked on, this is Simple Pleasures, artwork by Chris Dunn, charted by Pain Free Crafts. Cute little scene. The details in this I love so much, from like, look at their little feet. Oh, and just, you know, a little cozy fire and just everything. I just love this artwork, and I was very happy when Sarah Payne charted this. I immediately went and bought it once I saw that she had charted it. And again, this was a late 2022 start. So I like Two Swans in a Pond. I hadn't done much on it, but I had done more. So this was my number 2 full coverage. So I put in 1,000 stitches and basically just combine, you know, this is that sort of the hay in the ceiling. So you can sort of, the negative space, you can sort of see where the actual hay is going. And these dark colors are basically the shadow that is behind, like either behind the hay itself or in between the individual. The word strand is what I'm thinking of, but it's not a strand. Pieces of hay. You can tell I'm not a farm girl. So anyhow, that's where I am on that, and really enjoying working on this. So that is Simple Pleasures by Pain Free Crafts. The next one I worked on was A Joyous Day by Blackbird Design, and I'm starting to feel like I'm in the home stretch to this. So I am on the bottom third. So basically what I did on this one was I did this flower and a couple more letters here. I do have a mistake somewhere in here, and this is one thing shorter than it should be. I caught the mistake when I was doing the other side, and so I just mirrored the mistake. So I think when I do the stem of the flower, it will be one stitch more just to make up for that. Again, it's not the end of the world. The symmetry is there, and quite frankly, all these flowers are not symmetrical, which is fine. Flowers are not symmetrical in nature, so it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me, but nonetheless, hold on one second. I'm back. All right, so it doesn't bother me that there is a mistake in here. It's easily rectified. So that is A Joyous Day. That one did, again, I seeded my bracket to make sure the pieces I wanted to continue on will make it to the next round. So this one will definitely get more love this month. The next piece I worked on, again, one of the projects I haven't worked on in a long time. This is World Peace Angel from Lavender and Lace. And I started this last year, really didn't get much in, so it still doesn't look like much, but it is more. And again, this is one of these charts that I had frustration with it, and so I just didn't work on it. But I did pull it out, and again, part of my working on this was trying to overcome my frustration. So I made a decision that I'm going to focus on the earth and sort of work on getting that done. And so what I did was, because it's a paper pattern and it was gifted to me and it was a used pattern, it's had a lot of love, and it's also a cream color pattern, which means it's really hard to copy it. But I did make a working copy. I have to keep going back between the working copy and the original because, again, the person had used it, taped it together. I can see where there might be on the working copy a column that is missing because it couldn't get copied, but I know enough about that. And so I'm going back and forth and trying to use the working copy a little bit more. Haven't caught any mistakes that I made in my previous stitching, which is when I got frustrated with it. But anyhow, so you can see, obviously this is the top. I had done quite a bit of I think it was 928 before, so this time I pulled out 927, which you can't really see the difference there, but it is 927 and 928 are very close, and then I think this is 930, a different color. So just working on it. We'll continue to plug away at this, but again, this is one that I need to go slowly. I need to use magnifier, so I need to be right in the right headspace to do it. Next one I worked on was 3 dancers from Stitching Jewels Designs. This was gifted to me from her. She offered to Flosstubers who had under 1,000 subscribers. She said if you want to give her, she would give us a free pattern, and then the deal was we would work on it and show it regularly on our channel. So that's what I have been doing. I am now over 25% on this. This probably has about 1,000 stitches since I saw you last. This was not used for Lion and Lamb because it was it was the piece. It's one of my focus pieces, but I have more, like, you'll see the pieces after a fewer stitches, so I couldn't use this, but I still wanted to pull this out and work on it. So this is the middle dancer, and then you can sort of see the outline of, and I think this is the head of the 3rd dancer. So most of this is background. This is a little bit darker because this is sort of, you can see there, it's almost like a curtain. Love the colors in this piece. It's a lot of fun to work on. And this is 18 count, so it actually is a really great piece when I'm a little bit tired to work on because it's a little bit bigger. I am using 2 strands, but it's just easier on the eye sometimes to use, to, as you know, to do a larger piece. Now for something that is not a larger, smaller count, lower number, whatever. So this is His Eyes on the Sparrow by Heartstring Samplery. And so I think you're familiar with this. I am going to at some point chart something different in the middle. This saying doesn't speak to me. I have an idea of what I want to chart there, but I'm so far away from that I don't have to worry about it. And again, this is 36 count, and usually I would do 2 over 2 and 36 count, but this is supposed to have a little bit more of a primitive feel, so I am doing 1 over 2 on this. And so that's where I am. So basically, I had started the cow before, and this time basically all I did was put in that sort of light yellowish, beigeish color. That's caramel corn. So that's all I did. I put in a couple hundred stitches. But I'm sure you've heard this from a lot of Flosstubers. What's nice about this is that, like, when you get each of the individual, each of the, whether it's an animal or a flower, there's a lot of, you get a feeling, like a sense of a completion every time you finish one of the objects in there. So anyhow, the next one that I pulled up, this is Ottoman Stars Hollow. So they also have Summer in Stars Hollow, which I have the chart. I want to finish this one. I am doing them all as one big piece. You see on the back here, they chart it out for you to see, so you can see the order that they will go. And I'm glad I did it that way because, see the gazebo here, the summer piece, which goes here, finishes off the gazebo. So it's nice to have that sort of juxtaposition there. But this could easily be a standalone piece. It's not like you're sort of missing something. But I put in over 1,000 stitches in this. And so basically I had a little bit done of the floor here of the building, but not much. So this whole part here is totally finished. Colored in, I had a little bit of copper, but I finished the word copper, boom, and then the little flourish underneath, and started pulling things down. So this is the box of cornstarch. My only issue is up here. Every time I look at this, I'm like, what is this? And the answer is it's a man holding a cat. But I think the hair color is too close to the background here. So at some point, you have to backstitch the word cornstarch on here. I will probably backstitch around his hair in black, just to give it a little bit more definition, so you can see what that is. But because I keep thinking, like, what is this little heart-shaped thing here? It just seems weird to me. And I am using the called for colors, and it's like that on the chart as well in the picture. So I just want to do a little bit more. But other than that, I am really enjoying it. This one, given the way it's not a pixelated full coverage. I mean, I know it looks pixelated here, but that's just, but like doing the building and stuff, it's just blocks of color. So it goes very, very quickly, and it's a lot of fun to stitch. And that was my third one for Lion and Lamb. Next one I worked on, it was on March Madness. It is one of my 5 to 6 focus pieces, depending on how you count. But again, did not meet the Lion and Lamb definition. This is Old World Map from Artisy. I'm doing the large version. They do have a small, they might even have like a bigger one than large. I'm not entirely sure. Large was big enough for me. So here's where this is. So basically what I did this time, I put in about 500 stitches, and I'm finding my ninja stitches in this part, and I focused, basically there were some over here even in this dark part here, but focused on getting this pole, the stitches in, and I'm sort of finding stitches as they're here and then taking them across. So quite a bit. I had done all of the whitish color, which is 3865. I had done all that. So a lot of it was just working on the latitude and longitude lines, and then also the gold that goes around the pole. So, or I mean, this pole over the northern view, that's what you want to call it. So again, working on that, and then also some of the colors that came into. This is sort of like a banner. It doesn't say anything, but it sort of has a banner look to it that goes in the top of the painting as well. So had a lot of fun working on this. It did when it's round, so it might come out again. Or I may decide that I want to get some more work on my other focus pieces, because I did hit my goal of 500 stitches for the month. Next piece that I worked on, again, it's been a while. This is Fabulous Women from Clouds Factory. So all sort of remarkable women in history. And I finished Sacagawea. So here is what the whole thing looks like that I've done to date. And here is what I worked on. So basically I had her about half done. So I had to finish all of her skin. I actually found I had 4 stitches that I missed on him that was like the apples of his cheek, and it was the same color for her. So totally finished her. And there's this blue color, which I absolutely love. It's Weeks Dye Works Capri. It's a really, really pretty color. And it pops really nice on this fabric. This, and I feel like I say this wrong most of the time, so I did look it up. I believe it's called, let's picture this plus. This is an opalescent fabric. You can kind of see the opalescence. It is Crystal Orchid. Is the linen. I always say a different color because I have another piece and I don't want to say that name right now. But this is a really pretty color. So anyhow, I finished Sacagawea. And then just because I had the colors on my needle, I did a little bit. This is the beginning of Queen Victoria. Obviously not very clear what that is right now. And I had to backstitch Sacagawea in there. So then that was the piece I worked on 2 days ago. And then the last piece I have to show you. This is Grand Library, artwork by Amy Stewart, charted by Heaven Earth Design. This is the Supersize Max Color. So this is my lifetime project. And I did sort of take a look about if I wanted to finish this in 10 years, how many stitches I would have to put in every month. I took a deep breath and said, okay, not right now. At some point I may do that. If you watch Suki, the Brown-Eyed Stitcher, she is not on this piece, but another piece she is working on. She is doing a gorgeous job on, it's one of the stitching shelves. I'm not sure if it's Once Upon a Fairy Tale, but one of the stitching shelves. She's got a goal to finish a shelf a year. And I think it averages, like she has to do like 500 stitches a day. Now she is doing 10 stitch, so that goes a little bit faster. And she has been rocking it. And I had a chance to see it last year, and it was about half done at that point. She had done 2 of the shelves, and it looked amazing. And she's very good about posting it on Instagram as well every day, her daily progress, and it looks amazing. So I'm not quite there yet. Willing to commit myself that much every day to the same project, but anyhow, this is where I am. So I'm not even at 1% on this project yet. And this was the next piece I used for Lion and Lamb as well. And I did get my 1,000 stitches yesterday on it, or finished my 1,000 stitches. I had done a couple hundred the day before. So what I focused on two things. One was I was determined to get these things done here. As far as I can tell, on the shelf above, there are papers you can see very clearly that are falling. And then I think these are more papers that have fallen. Not entirely sure. I mean, like when I look at it from a distance, because this is sort of the mystery block, I'm wondering if these papers are like stamped with like top secret or classified or something like that. To be clear, they're not classified documents. No one needs to come to my house and take a look. But anyhow, but I think that's sort of that stamp is the only thing I can think of that is what that's supposed to be, because it doesn't say anything. But it's definitely papers. And so I finished that. So again, because this is max color, there is a lot of confetti stitching, and doing 2 or 3 stitches. And then if I could find another place where that color was, I would do it. So somehow those colors popped up here, and then finished, but then did a little bit here. And then the colors that were right up here did sort of translate a little bit more over here. So I was able to do a little bit in here. And then because I had done that detailed confetti stitching, I did need some block stitching. And so I did hundreds of stitches of black. Originally, I thought I was going to use this for a prompt where I needed 1,000 block stitches. I decided not to do that prompt. But nonetheless, I still wanted some block stitching. So I had done maybe up to here before. So all this block stitching here. There was some fill in here and then over here. And when I took a look, I don't know why I'm bothering. There's nothing under there. This is the bottom shelf, and the black stitches just go on and on and on and on and on over here. I'm sure they'll have a break at some point. I am not ready to move on. So I probably will work sort of over here next to continue this. But I was very happy that I finally finished this object down here. And that's the way sort of Suki is doing it, that she's sort of doing it book by book or motif by motif. And I like that as well. She's being obviously more systematic about it than I am. But it still is nice to sort of see these things come to life, because again, this thing is huge. I am doing this on 25 count, 1/1 full cross. I do all my full coverages full cross unless there's something that in the pattern that directs me not to. It's just the way I prefer to do it. And I've mentioned this before, but sometimes doing a lot of half stitches or 10 stitches or whatever you want to call them makes me dizzy. And we need to enjoy our stitching. All right, so that is all of the stitching I have to share with you. I have I don't have anything that I've purchased, but I have some really lovely stitchy kindness to share. So the first thing I got, as I didn't work on it these past 2 weeks, but I am doing a round robin with the Haunted Mansion, and a couple of the people in the group have sent, I don't know what to call them, little gifts. Some have been really generous gifts. Some people are including it in the package as they get mailed along, and other people are mailing them separately. So these individuals chose to mail them separately. So one person was really kind, and you've probably seen these, but like, the white balance. The library cards, I'm sure you've seen other people with these, but these are actually old, well, they may be newly printed, but the old idea of the old library cards. And yes, I am old enough to remember when we had library cards like this, where they'd either write or stamp or something, who checked out a book. And then you would check out a book and you would see who had checked it out before you and all that. Really exciting, fun stuff when you're 8 years old. But anyhow, she sent a couple of these, and basically this is great to put on backs of projects, and it's going to be particularly good to put on the back of Haunted Mansion, which I will get framed whenever it is done, because I really do want to include all the information about all the participants. It's been a really lovely group of stitchers to work with. We obviously have a chat that we participate as well, and it's just kind, generous people, and I've really enjoyed participating in that, and I enjoy the stitch that was selected. So I will be working on that over the next 2 weeks. So I look forward. I'll show you that next time. She also included a little floss drop as well, which is a Ouija board. I played with Ouija boards as a kid. I know they freak some people out. They don't freak me out. I think they're a fun game. I don't believe in them. May the spirits not haunt me if they are real. But nonetheless, it's cute, and I think it's very clever. So I like that. And then the other thing that someone made, which I just found incredible. So she made what's called a mug caddy. So I don't want to undo it. But basically, this is something that she sewed, and I've tied it on. So the mug is mine, and quite frankly, I'm using a mug that I couldn't drink out of anymore because it's one of those mugs that I got somewhere, and it has, a sweet memory for me. But it's got a little chip at the top, so I can't drink out of it anymore. But I couldn't, bear to get rid of it because it had a memory for me. So it's great to be able to repurpose it, even though I can't see what's on there. Nonetheless, I have it. I know what the mug is. I can think about it even if I can't see it. It's not like there's a cute picture on it. And quite frankly, the caddy has cuter images on it as well. So basically, the person who made this, she showed some of the fabric she had and said, "Does anyone want anything in particular?" I didn't go one way or the other. I didn't have a strong preference, but you know me, I love cats, and clearly I said that a couple times in the chat, or she watches, I don't know, and she picked cat fabric for me. So basically, you can see some of the cats are a little bit hard to see because they're cream-colored cats on white fabric, but black kitties and other things. Cat scratching posts. I have a bunch. They're not red in my house, but boy, do we have a bunch of them around. And it's just basically something that ties, and they got all these little pockets. So I'm putting like stitching tools. So obviously some of this, but like my scissors, can't see, but tucked in. I also have like my snag nabbit. There are also little pockets if you want to tuck more stuff inside. I actually don't use the inside right now. Someone gave me at Christmas the ornament. I don't actually have the top on right now. I still have the top. Don't worry, Elaine. But I putting my orts in there, one of these ort things. So these are actually all my orts since about mid-December. That thing is already getting filled up. Making an ornament. So that goes right on top. I had it on my desk where I do a lot of my stitching. And I've got a little container, but it's too big for the container and it kept falling off. So it fits perfectly in there. So thank you. Thank you to both the people who sent those to me. Those are really, really lovely stitchy kindness. And so I really appreciate it. The talent and creativity of people in the stitching community never ceases to amaze me. So that is all I have for the stitchy content. Briefly, I haven't really read any books that have blown me away for the past couple weeks, so I'm going to skip reading, but what have I been watching? So my husband and I, we had stopped subscribing to Netflix for about 9 months. We stopped, we watched the TV series that we thought we wanted to watch, and the movie selection was limited, so we said, let's just not waste our money on something that we're not going to use. So we stopped about for 9 months. But resubscribed to it recently, so we are going back and watching some shows that either we missed or whatever. So one thing that I believe it came out in 2020, the first season, so it's not a new show, but it's new to us, and it's called Ginny and Georgia, or Georgia and Ginny. I can't remember which order it goes, but it is a mother-daughter team, and she is the mother, Georgia, had her daughter when she was 15. So they do make a joke about the Gilmore Girls, but this is not really the Gilmore Girls. It's a very dark, parts of it comedy, parts of it not. But basically a 15-year-old, the Gilmore Girls, Lorelai came from a very wealthy family and made certain choices that she didn't want to depend on that family, but she had a very cushy upbringing, and Georgia did not. Let's just put it that way. So she has this kid, and it starts off that this woman's husband has died. Georgia's husband has died, and she's like 31 at this point. And her husband was not her children's father. So her husband dies. After the funeral, they move to Wellsbury, Massachusetts, which I believe is a fictional town. I don't think that, you can tell me if I'm wrong. But it's sort of the dynamic between, they've been sort of really poor and running, and then she had married this wealthy guy. And so sort of this was a chance for her to start over or whatever. But she can't stop being who she is. And of course that has rubbed off on her daughter. Just it's a lot of fun to watch. Some very serious issues. I mean, it's got all the teen drama that you expect, and mother-daughter drama. But it's still fun to watch, and so we're enjoying it. Glad that we went back to Netflix. I'm sure we'll probably have it for about another 9 months and decide there is nothing else we want to watch. We are hoping that Stranger Things, the final season, will come out this year. I love Stranger Things. We actually watched it, and then right after that finished, that's when we ended our subscription. So hopefully Netflix will continue with our content. We did end up going to the version where we knew there were ads, and that's fine. We didn't realize, because we went for the cheapest version, that you can only watch it on one device at a time, which I guess is how Netflix handles the don't share your password, which I think is fine. We weren't really aware of that. So my husband and I have to share our Netflix. So we can watch it on different devices, but we can't watch it at the same time. So he can't watch one program in one room and I at the same time while I watch it in the other. We have so many streaming services, it doesn't matter. But anyhow, that's all I have today. Hope that you enjoy this. And again, thank you for being with me for 50 videos. I really appreciate it. And if you are interested in the giveaway, use the code words, and I will see you in a few weeks. Happy stitching.